What up, everybody? It's your boy Nerd. God damn. Now I gotta tweak my camera. Look what you did, Muggsy. Shit. Hold on just a second. Let me go ahead and... Let me go ahead and fuck with my filters again. What's up, Hunches? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the podcast. It's not really a stream. It's a podcast. The smoothness can get turned down to 20 maybe? Maybe we'll do like a 18. Similarity, we'll do like a 505. Nope, can't do that. This is getting real tricky, messing with these filters. That's right, tonight we're going to talk about UFOs. Some spooky shit. But I got to get this little glob right here that wants to be... That's like right where my light is. What if I turn my light down? That's brighter. That's super bright. It's still kind of a stream. That's like mega bright. And then look at my face. If I turn it down, does it get worse? Ooh. So I gotta find the happy medium here. So when the stream is done, I'm gonna delete it from YouTube and then re-upload just the audio, because the audio file is obviously a lot smaller. And it will be easier for YouTube and Spotify and all that shit. I think I got it as good as I can get it for now. I could also crop that out. Crop. No, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. Let's see. I know I can crop the camera. So let's do like 200. Let's do left. We'll do like 100. And 50 maybe. You're gonna see me jumping around a little bit here. I'm cropping out shit out of my camera. The top we can probably get rid of like 100. Maybe 200. There we go. That's a little bit better. So we just crop out all the unnecessary shit. Your mic is like covering your face pretty much. Not if I do like this though. Does it not affect the audio too much? So yeah, what my plan is, I'm going to lower that light just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to take these podcasts. I'm finishing an episode of Critical Role before I pay more attention to this. It's intense. I'm going to take this off of YouTube. Like, as soon as the stream's over, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to delete it. Because most of my streams you can just watch afterwards. I don't like that in this case. I'll take it down. And then or maybe I could just leave it. I mean, what do you think? Yeah, maybe I could just leave the video portion up and I'll just take the audio and upload that to Spotify. We'll see. I don't know. But one thing that was in the news over the past week that I really was like really digging. I'm a huge like aliens and UFOs and other worlds and like space, like that is my fucking jam. I love that kind of shit. And one thing that caught my eye in the news was that, and it was really strange because if you didn't watch the news or read the news, you would have never known about this. But the Pentagon held hearings in Congress about UFOs. Now, what makes this different than like other times that they've been in front of Congress and had to, talk about this kind of shit, was that those times they were like subpoenaed. They were, they were like one or two things that they had to answer for. Like, hey, where's all this money going? Hey, what's the status of this secret project that we gave you all these billions and trillions of dollars for? This one, this follows, what was it, a couple months back, where they just unloaded like thousands and thousands and thousands of like declassified documents, and they just dumped them all at once, right on the internet, declassified, and if you didn't know about that, then you wouldn't have known either if you hadn't been paying attention to the news. So, like, internet sleuths and detectives and ufologists and hobbyists, they've been scrolling through like these thousands of pages of declassified UFO documents, and they got to the point where they've been called in front of Congress and they've got to answer, hey, is this legitimate? Is this real? Like, are we alone? Are we being visited? Are we being, spied on or attacked or whatever it might be? And I watched it. I watched a lot of it. Like, in my spare time, I didn't watch it live. They're here. This is Naval Intelligence, Scott Bray, Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. Like, if there was a guy that knew about fucking aliens, like, he'd be in that room, right? And they're just going through, like, video after video. Some of these were, like, actual, like, videos, like, right here, where he's, like, from cockpits of fighter jets, like, U.S. Naval and Air Force, like, pilots who have come across these things and who've seen them and are like, hey, we reported this. I just want to say how strange that is, because we live in a day and age where, and even in today, in like 2022, where you go up to somebody and you randomly start talking about UFOs, aliens, whatever, there's still that stigma, there's still that taboo kind of, people laugh, they joke. You even see it, I saw it on like the nightly news too in the last couple of weeks, your local news. Fox has covered this, Washington Post, all these major news outlets are covering it. But in like your local news, you'll get that Tom, Dick, and Harry fucking anchor. They're like, in other news, UFO hearings in Congress. What a bunch of whack jobs. And you get stigmatized and branded as some kind of crazy or some kind of lunatic or some kind of, conspiracy tinfoil hat wearing motherfucker. And, you're the butt of jokes and people laugh at you, and, they move on on their lives and about their day. And what's interesting is, even in this 21st century that we live in, you kind of got to tiptoe around that topic, right? I mean, don't you? Like, we can go to the theaters, we can watch like alien movies, we can, listen to late night fucking radio broadcasts, coast to coast, and George Norrie and Art Bell and all those guys, and you can go to all these internet sites, but can you really just go out there in public and be like, hey, you put that on a job resume? Okay, man, I'm a amateur ufologist. I research UFOs. I believe aliens. They kidnapped me, and I saw something in the sky. You're gonna get made fun of. You're gonna get laughed at. And I think what this does, with the Pentagon coming out, and what makes it important, is that for all of the people out there that don't believe in UFOs, And their explanation is, well, it's our shit. You know, our military, our aircraft, or Chinese or Russian aircraft. It's experimental technology, and, you know, they just don't talk about it. These motherfuckers went to Congress and said, we've got X amount of cases, let's say 1,000 cases. 990 of them, we know what the fuck they were. It's a flock of geese, a fucking plane that wasn't registered, it was out of its area, fucking swamp gas, whatever you want to call it. The Pentagon says we know what 990 of those 1,000 were. What has me excited is they admit they don't know what the other 10 are. Now, in the grand scheme of things, 10 out of 1,000, yes, that's 0.1%. That's 0.1%. They don't know what it is. But that should excite you, right? Because what's more damaging for the Pentagon? To say, we know what all 1,000 are, so some of it is our experimental aircraft, you know, and this and that. 990 of them we know, 10 we don't. What's more hurtful for the Pentagon? What are they, if they're going to lie, wouldn't they have lied the other way? If they really wanted to cover up, like, aliens and UFOs, if they really wanted to cover it up, don't you think they would have said, yeah, we know what all 1,000 cases were, and that's some of our experimental shit, and we don't really want to talk about it because it's national security, top secret technology. We don't want to divulge it. But rest assured, those things you see flying around the sky and all that, that's our shit. Don't worry about it. And it would probably get swept under the rug after that point, right? There's a few buzzwords. All they got to say is national security, defense, those things, and it'll just get quieted. But no, the Pentagon went in there and said, we know what 990 out of 1,000 cases are. These other 10, we don't know. And that's what excites me, because they're actually willing to say, for the first time in like 50 or 60 years, hey man, we don't know what the fuck those are. We might not be alone. We don't know if that's Russia. We don't know if that's aliens. We don't know if that's fucking whatever. Okay? All we know is that we don't know. And we know it ain't our shit. So what's up, chat? Hey, Huntress, Memory, Dark Jones, what's going on, everybody? Dark Jones says, aliens built the pyramids. Yeah, so tonight, we're talking about aliens and UFOs, because I'm a huge believer in, like, aliens, extraterrestrial life, UFOs, stuff like that. So I just chose my, like, premiere episode to be about something that I like. And we're talking about those Pentagon hearings they had. Personally, I don't necessarily believe in aliens and UFOs or whatnot. Can I give you a reason? Not really. But I don't fault others for believing in them. No, that's fine. You know, I mean, I think there was a time, right, where if you told somebody you believed in aliens and UFOs, you were a nut job. Like, it was just unheard of. You didn't admit to that. You know, it was like, and please don't take this as a full-blown comparison here, and I know there is no comparison. It's just my tiny brain trying to make one. But it was like being gay in, like, the 50s, right? You just didn't fucking tell anybody. Like, if you told somebody you were gay in the 40s and 50s, no, that was a no-no. You were ostracized. They sent you to gay camp. You know what I mean? They took you to church. They beat you. You know, they labeled you. You were outcast. You were fired from your job, right? Like, you didn't tell anybody you were gay, right? And you didn't tell anybody you believed in UFOs. You didn't talk about that kind of stuff because they would label you as crazy. And now we're living in a day and age, 50 years later, where the Pentagon can come out and say, we don't know what this shit is, and it's okay now. It's okay to believe just a little bit. How UFO sightings went from a joke to a national security worry They could have worded that differently, right? What a fucking tongue twister. How UFO sightings went from a joke to a national security concern in Washington would have been better, but a national security worry? You followed two words that end in Y after each other. That's just bad writing, Mr. Rosenwald. This is a year ago. May 23rd, actually. A year ago tomorrow. In 2007, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid called his colleagues Ted Stevens and Daniel Inouye to a specially secured room in the Capitol where highly classified information was discussed. A Republican from Alaska and Inouye, a Democrat from Hawaii, controlled funding for the super-secret Pentagon operations. Reid wanted to put an idea on their radar, one that needed to be kept hush-hush, not for national security, but because it was, as Reid's aides told him, kind of crazy. He wanted the Pentagon to investigate UFOs. Two top-level senators. One of them, the Senate Majority Leader. Like, this is the guy who's, like, fourth and fifth in command of, like, the whole fucking country. If, like, the president and vice president got shot, you know what I mean? Like, these are the guys, the top-level senators in Washington just 10 years, 15 years ago, had to have secret meetings because they didn't want to get labeled as crazy. And they're in control of the Pentagon's budget. They pay for all this shit. Say, hey, we're giving you 20, 30, 40, 50 billion dollars, whatever the dollar amount might be. We're giving you that. We want some answers for it. We want something for our money. Tell us about this UFO thing. That was just 15 years ago. They had to have secret meetings about it in 2007. 21st century. Now here we are 15 years later, the Pentagon finally coming out and saying, meh, yeah, we know. Yeah, we don't know what that is. We don't know what that one is. We don't know what that one is. But the rest of them, yeah, I don't know. One time I was walking by a river, I saw two balls of light in the sky following each other. Then they zoomed off quicker than anything I've ever seen. No idea what it was, but my friend also saw it. See, it's experiences like that, Huntress, that you're like, okay, could it have been like aliens, UFOs? Yes. Don't get me wrong, I am not the person being a believer like I am that's going to discount the next person's story or experience. I'm not going to be the skeptic. But could it have been something else? Like, I've had experiences I've had to take long, hard looks at and say to myself, can I explain this shit? Because if I can't, then I got a good story to tell. But if I can maybe somehow explain it, then so can everybody else I'm going to tell, and then they're going to think I'm a fucking nut job, right? Like, I can't tell you that I was at a campfire on the side of the lake with some buddies, and we were drinking, and we saw some lights in the sky, and then, they zoomed around the water, and then they left, right? Because, I mean, what if it's all a matter of perspective, right? It's all a matter of how I saw it. What time of the night was it? Were they maybe fireflies that were just kind of over the water? Were they, kids playing with little drones? Can I explain it? Can I eliminate myself any logical explanation before I go and tell anybody else? Because I'm going to tell you, I have stories of my own. Am I going to tell them? No. Because I can't for sure certainly rule out something silly. I've had circumstances where I'm driving on the highway and we've all done it. We've all gone on those long fucking highway drives where it's 100 miles, it's pitch fucking black, you don't see another car for 20-30 minutes, and you're kind of just mind is going, you're gazing off, you're getting that highway hypnotism like they call it. We've all been there. You see a little flash, you see a little thing, I'm not going to say I saw a fucking craft like land in the woods on the side of the highway, because that's major. Like that, you'd pull over for that, right? We are all crazy, Dark Jones. You'd pull over for that. But I've had circumstances where I'm driving down one of those long, dark stretches where you haven't seen another soul for like half an hour. And you see a flicker, or you see a little, you see a light, and then it makes turns and sharp angles in the fucking sky that no fucking man-made plane can make. Can I explain it? No. So therefore, I don't tell those stories. Because it could be something. It could be something silly. I'm doing 70 miles an hour down a fucking highway. I saw it for 2 seconds. I'm not even from this area. How do I know that's not a fucking low-flying plane or a crop duster or, like I said earlier, some kids in a field with a fucking drone? You can't explain it all. You can't. So we go from a day and age now where we're ostracized, it's stigmatized, and you're made fun of, to now, just 15 years later, the Pentagon's going in front of Congress, having full-blown hearings and admitting, hey, we don't know everyone. We don't know everything. Is that because the people pulling the strings have finally decided to loosen them up? I don't know. Last summer, the Defense Department issued a news release with the following headline: Establishment of Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. The mission of the UAPTF is to detect, analyze, and catalog UAPs that could potentially pose a threat to U.S. national security, according to the Pentagon. A few months later, as part of President Donald Trump's spending and pandemic relief package, the Senate Intelligence Committee, led by Senator Mark Warner from Virginia, included a provision calling for the Director of National Intelligence to help produce an unclassified report on everything government agencies know about UFOs, including scores of unusual sightings reported by military pilots. That report is due sometime next month. We got that report. I mean, this was written a year ago. So we've got that report, and that's led us to these hearings now. The Matrix is real. You want to talk about the Matrix? We can do that in a future episode, Dark Jones. I've got my own theories about the Matrix. I'm not going to go full Alex Jones on everybody, though. I'm not that crazy. I don't think we live in a simulation, but some of the theories out there are pretty tantalizing. I had an experience where I was... Okay, you know what? I'll just tell you one. Okay? Now, you guys can chime in and say, hey, that sounds like some bullshit. And that'll be why I didn't tell the story in the first place. So I'm driving on the highway, and this is Central Florida. I lived in Orlando at the time. Well, I lived in a small town outside of Orlando. It's called Sanford. It's about a half mile outside of Orlando. For the sake of this story, I just tell people Orlando, because it's easier, right? Everybody knows where Orlando is. So I'm living in Orlando. I'm working in a town about 40 minutes away. And I'm working graveyard. I'm on my way home. This particular stretch of I-4, it's Interstate 4, after a certain time at night, all the commuting traffic is over, you barely see anybody. It's a long, dark stretch. And there's a lot of water on this stretch of the highway, like bridges and over like large bodies of water, like lakes and rivers and stuff, swamps. There's a lot of that down there. So this particular stretch, there's no towns, there's no cities for like 10, 15 minutes. I saw maybe fucking 3 cars, right? I'm with my buddy, as my best friend at the time. We're driving down the highway. I want to say 12:30, 1 o'clock at night, or in the morning. And I'm seeing a green little tiny light, right? Like, not tiny, like up front tiny, like far off in the distance, like right on the horizon. Like there's a tree line, you can see like the highway in front of you, and then the tree line, and right above that tree line, I shit you not, is like super far away. It's like this real, just a green dot, just a speck. The reason it stood out to me in the first place, there was it was semi-cloudy. So there's probably... My mom was born and raised there in Sanford. Yeah, I lived in Sanford. My mom lives outside of Sanford right now. the reason it stood out, one, it was green, right? I mean, how many green stars do you see? It wasn't blinking or anything like you see satellites, like, or the ISS. Sometimes I'll catch a glimpse of like the ISS or a satellite, but you'll know because it'll blink, or other planes will blink. But there, it was partly cloudy. There was maybe 20 or 30 other stars in that vicinity, so it stood out, and there wasn't a ton of them. That wasn't lost in the noise of the night sky. You know, and every couple minutes, we'd get further down the highway, and this thing would get closer. And then it wasn't until maybe 15 minutes gone by that I realized that it wasn't getting closer to us. I was getting closer to it. As in, it wasn't moving towards us. It was stationary. And we were moving towards it. We get another 10, 12 minutes down the road. And by now, from my point of view, it's about the size of like a pencil top eraser. You know what I mean? Like, it's fairly large in comparison to all the little microscopic dots in the sky. This thing is standing out like, you know, it's a nice little chunk, and it's glowing green, and it's over the trees, and I can get a little bit closer, and then I see that it's emitting like a greenish light above the tree line. At this point, I'm not freaking out yet. I didn't even mention anything to my buddy until about this point. I kept it to myself from the moment I first saw it till about now. And then I'm like, hey, yo, you see this? I thought it was something crazy. Like maybe there was like a light, like a street light, like that was in the woods. Like maybe it was just fucking, you know, a different color for some emergency purposes or whatnot. Like at no point yet had I considered that it might be something like extraterrestrial, like UFO or anything like that. I was already wrapping my brain around trying to explain it. The fact that it was a UFO hadn't even entered my brain. I was trying to find every logical explanation while I'm doing 65, 70 miles an hour down the interstate, right? As soon as I nudged my buddy and I said, yo, because he was on his phone fucking around, you know, had his window down, he was smoking. I was like, hey, yo, what do you see this? Like, what the fuck is that? As soon as I did that, it moved. As if right on cue, like right when I said something to him, it fucking moved. And it dipped down below the tree line, and you can kind of see a glimmer of the green light, and then it went off all the way to the other side of the horizon, and then I couldn't see it anymore. So it was gone. Still, at this point, I'm like, all right, you know, maybe it was, you know, whatever. You know, I don't know. Maybe it was a fucking helicopter. I don't know what the fuck it was, right? I also thought, I don't know how to explain this next part. You ever catch a windshield glare of like a headlight, and how, like, if somebody's like driving next to you or in front of you on a highway, for those of you that have highway driven before, their headlight catches like the glass of your car, and it'll seem like it moved, but it's not. It's just the way the angle is, and if you turn your head, I don't know how to explain it because I'm not like a fucking scientist, right? But I was even thinking like, well, maybe there's a light behind me or off to the side because there's water. Maybe it was a boat, and maybe like a boat had a green light on it, and just the way my windows in the car, maybe it was reflecting or refracting it, and it just looked like it was in front of me. So I'm looking around. I'm not seeing shit. So I blew it off. We got about, I don't know, another 3-4 minutes down the highway. At this point, we're getting close to getting to where we need to go. Okay. This is when I realized that I had saw something that was fucked up. The exit where I need to get off, it's one of those loop-de-loop exits, and it goes through a section of, you know, woods, things like that. I've taken this exit 200 fucking times, And it leads to a railroad tracks. There's like a fucking subway. There's a zoo there too. I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Sanford Zoo, maybe. I think. I don't fucking know. But this fucking loop-de-loop exit is where I normally get off. We get there to the exit, and I start seeing reds and blues. I see cop, like cop had somebody pulled over or whatever. So we get over all the way to the right, and I got my turn signal on. I'm getting ready to get off on the exit. I slow down. The closer I get, I realize the cop has the road blocked. Like, you can't get off on that fucking exit. I slow down. I roll down my window. Hey, I live off this exit, 3 blocks up, another block over. Like, I need to get home. What's the emergency? Is there a fire? Is there whatever? Wouldn't let me pass. He's like, nope, we have a situation. You're going to have to go down, catch the next exit. I do an illegal U-turn right there on the off-ramp. I go back off on the on-ramp, or on the off-ramp, get back on the highway. And I go. As I pass over the overpass, where I normally would have taken that U to get off, I drove over. There was probably a dozen. I shit you not. State, county, local, city cops. Reds and blues all over the fucking place. You were not getting in there. It was like a war zone. Like somebody had committed a fucking school shooting or some shit. Like they had that shit tighter than a virgin asshole on prom night, okay? And as I'm driving over, I see a green, glowing, pulsating light coming from in the woods where they've got their cars surrounded. That's my story. I looked for days afterwards in the news, radio, and the newspapers, TV, you name it. I was fucking curious, right? I'm like, yo, did like a fucking helicopter crash? I don't see any fucking smoke. I don't see any fire. Like, I didn't see any goddamn ambulances. That's what bothered me the most, is the more I remember and the more I think about it, I never saw any fucking ambulances. I never saw any fucking fire trucks. I saw a bunch of fucking cops and a bunch of SUVs. And half the forest lit up with a green, pulsating, like throbbing kind of light. It wasn't pulsating like flashing, but it was like a whoa, whoa, whoa. You know what I mean? That was it. What did your friend say about it? He was shocked more so that we didn't see anything the day after or like the days after that. My friend to this day, okay, is a firm non-believer in like extraterrestrials, aliens, UFOs, all that. He's 100% non-believer. He did not want to. He had like 1,000,001 theories, and now, all these years later, whenever we talk and if that ever comes up in conversation, he kind of blows it off, and he'll walk in the other room like, oh, I don't remember seeing that. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't, he'll blow it off, But at the time, like, I was kind of relying on him to like explain this shit. Like, hey man, was this a fucking like a helicopter? Was this like a fucking... We watched it hover, bro. Like, maybe it could have been like... I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it could have been. And I'm relying on him to tell me, and he's just like, man, I don't know, man. And he'd always point out something else, like, man, that's a lot of motherfucking cops. Maybe somebody wrecked and they went in the woods. This was down at the time where like Fast and the Furious movies had started to come out. They were on like number 1 or 2 or whatever, and kids had like the neon lights and shit under their cars. So he thought maybe one of them kids like took the ramp too hard and wrecked, and like those were his fucking neon lights just shining off into the woods from the wreckage. But he refuses to this day to admit to seeing anything like that. I don't know if he's afraid of like getting snatched up in his sleep or the men in black showing up at his fucking door. But I know what I fucking saw, and it creeps me out a little bit. But I have hope. See, the point of this was these Pentagon hearings with Congress. You know, even the Pentagon now coming out and saying, yo, we don't know. We don't know. Can't help you. Like, we've got an explanation for most of it, but not all of it, right? So we don't know. There's hope, right? I mean, how can you be a non-believer right now when your own federal government is not even trying to hide it anymore? They're not even trying to cover it up. They're not lying about it anymore. Thoughts? You guys don't have anything? I think it's refreshing. I will say that I think, and this is where I get a little bit of shit, right? This is one of my theories that people will argue and they'll use it against me. But I'm going to be honest. I think we've been indoctrinated for the last 40 years to prepare for this. I think between Hollywood, the government, news, have been slowly preparing us for the day where they can come out and be like, hey, yo, we're not alone. Aliens landed at the White House. They're talking to the president right now. I think we've been slowly but surely desensitized to the idea, right? And indoctrinated to have it not be a big deal. Because think, when this Roswell thing happened back in 1947, it was July 1947. This was a time where the government was 100% worried about panic, right? Newer military aircraft might have only green marker lights. Might need to fact check that, though. It's possible, but can newer military aircraft hover over a tree line for 25 minutes and not make a sound? And then dart off at top speed from standing still to a whoop? I don't know. I'll look into it, though. I'm honestly not sure. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. I think there probably is life we don't know about, but I don't think it's like the media portrays. I don't think it is either. I know that I don't want to be. How do you say? I don't want to be vain, and I don't want to be self-centered and say that we're the only intelligent life in the entire galaxy. Do you know how fucking massive this galaxy is? Trillions upon trillions of just stars. That's just in the Milky Way galaxy, too, by the way. Let's not forget all the millions and billions of other galaxies they know about. Just in our Milky Way galaxy. Trillions upon trillions of stars. Trillions. You're going to tell me that only one of those stars was able to produce a planet that had life on it? Come the fuck on, man. Even mathematically, you guys need to look up the Fermi paradox, okay? That'll explain. But I believe we've been desensitized and we're being prepared for the eventuality that, you know, we're going to be told that we're not alone in this universe. In the 1940s and 50s, when this shit first started, with the Foo Fighters in World War II, with the fucking Roswell happening in 47, back then we lived in a culture of fear. You look at War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells, with the radio broadcast, people freaking the fuck out. The government, their Project Blue Book, They're talking about, number one, we need to keep this from the people because the people are going to freak the fuck out. They're going to riot. They're going to panic. They're going to crash the government. The fucking religions are going to fold. And people are going to go nuts, right? We can't tell them. People in 1940s and 50s were way different than people in 2021 and 2022, right? Because of what they've fed us over those 50, 60, 70 years. They've now made it to where every summer there's a blockbuster fucking movie about aliens. Right? And at first they were our enemies, right? At first we had aliens, they were the bad guys, we beat their ass. Right? It gave us a sense of machismo, of pride, of superiority, right? Aliens and Predators and all of these other films where we were invaded and we conquered, right? Independence Day, right? Like, they came to us, we outsmarted them with their advanced technologies, and we kicked their ass. So it gave us a sense of pride. It gave us a sense of superiority. That we didn't have to be afraid of them. We'll kick their ass some way. Even if it's with a common cold, we'll kick their ass. Now, they're our friends, right? Now we got Disney. We got Pixar. We got Marvel. Like, everybody in the fucking Avengers lineup is a fucking alien, right? Like, Guardians of the Galaxy, you got Thor. You got TV shows like Star Trek and Stargate. And, like, these aliens are now our friends. We form bonds with them. We care about their storylines. We have people getting emotionally attached to fictional characters that are aliens. So we have been desensitized to the fact that we not only form feelings about this, whether we want to or not, but in a way, we're already ready for it. We went in 70, 80 years from being a fear-filled culture and society about aliens to now we're just waiting for that shoe to drop, right? Be honest. If you saw it on the fucking news tomorrow morning when you were getting ready for work or when you woke up to get ready for school, you saw it on the news. Hey, there's a alien ship landed at the White House and they're in the Oval Office talking to the president. Holy shit, America, we are not alone. Aliens have landed. Be honest with yourself. Are you going to freak out? Are you going to panic? Are you going to run to Walmart and buy all the fucking toilet paper? Are you going to sell all your stocks and go hide in your bunker because you think the world's going to end? Or are you going to be like, holy fuck, that's fucking awesome. Hell yeah. Like, I don't think the government has to worry about us being that panic-stricken, fear-filled society anymore. And that's a good thing. Because now I think you're starting to see this with these congressional hearings and Pentagon opening up more and more. I think we've proven to them, through their conditioning, of course, that we can handle it. So now I think they're going to drop the ball here. I'd say in the next 10 years, mark my words, the next 10 years, we're going to have 100% proof and confirmation that we are not alone in this galaxy. What if aliens are actually just people who have passed on and gone to the afterlife? Robert Martinez, Red Scare. Maybe aliens are humans from the future. Okay, Dark Jones, you hit the nail on the fucking head. And I wish I had more than like 12 minutes to go into this. But that's been my theory for the longest time. One thing that I really love about the topic of like UFOs and aliens is that you get those cases of people that have been abducted, right? Or people that have been able to communicate with them, whatnot. People that have had like one-on-one encounters with these aliens, right? They tell these stories that these aliens are like experimenting on us. Well, why? My theory has always been, from bits and pieces that I've put together from, you know, all of my research and shows that I've watched and documentaries I've watched, I think aliens are us from the future who thousands of years from now have colonized the galaxy and had great technological advances and done amazing things, right? But I think through our own genetic manipulation and our own pushing science too far, whether it be with stem cells or genetic modifications and implants and cyborgization, whatever it might be, thousands of years in the future, we are no longer going to be able to procreate. We're all going to be sterile as fuck. It could be radiation from space travel. I don't fucking know. I don't live there. I don't have the answers. But I think thousands of years from now, we are going to evolve, and we're not going to look like we look now. I mean, look how humans looked thousands and thousands of years ago compared to now. We're stronger. We're taller. We look physically different than humans 5,000 years ago. What are our bodies going to evolve into looking like 5,000 years from now? I think we sterilize ourselves somehow, some way. We are coming back in time, experimenting on ourselves to get genetic material to help us solve our inability to procreate. I mean, if they could just give me the ability to fly, I won't care. Give me that pro baby. So, I mean, if getting superheroes, a condition of that was to get an alien probe in my ass, then yeah, 100%. Like, sign me up. Put it all the way up there till you feel it crunch, baby. I don't give a fuck. I want them superpowers. But, I don't know. That's one of my more outlandish theories, right? But this is the point of this podcast. Is to just, like, air all that shit out there. You guys can think I'm crazy all you want. I don't give a fuck. But I think that's us in the future. Like, I still think alien life exists, but I think these typical, like, gray aliens you see, they're coming here, like, taking our cows and putting stuff in people's booties. I don't know. But mark my words, within the next 10 years, you will know for a fact we are not alone in this universe. Now, whether they're friendly or hostile, I don't know. I would assume they're not hostile. Because let's face it, if they've been around crashing ships since the 40s, put it all the way up until you feel it crunch. If they've been crashing their ships since the fucking 40s, that means they've been around a lot longer than that, right? So, if they were hostile, I think they would have wiped us out a long fucking time ago, right? Like 80, 90, 100 years ago, when we were still trying to figure out how to split the atom, when we were still trying to figure out how to fucking fly, for Christ's sakes. These motherfucking aliens were already here. So, if they were hostile, we wouldn't be here anymore. I don't think they are. I think they have probably a non-interference kind of treaty or set of rules or a code of conduct that you might see on, like, Star Trek, like the Prime Directive, where they're allowed to observe and experiment and report, but they're not allowed to interfere. I think that's something that's going on right now. They're probably here, they're observing us, they're taking samples, they're experimenting, they're biding their time. But I don't think they're hostile in one bit. If they were hostile, they would have shown that fucking 50 years ago and wiped this out. I think there's a big galactic fucking world out there, man, and we are about to enter that arena. We are about to enter that arena and be full-fledged players of the game. Bro, I'm concerned for your ass if things crunch in there. I mean, I don't know. If you were in their shoes, how would you make first contact? Honestly, I don't think landing on the lawn of the White House would be my method. If I was sent to observe a planet, I would pretend to be human if I was alien. There's a lot of theories out there, Dark Jones, that they're doing that now. That they're walking among us with, like, fucking skinwalkers and shit. Honestly, Robert, I think if I was to make first contact, it would be to a body of scientists and religious leaders, not politicians. Not politicians. If they've been here for any more than fucking 10 days, you would know that our politicians are self-serving assholes who only give a fuck about lining their pockets and what's best for them, not what's best for the people, right? So if they've been here that long and they've been observing us and they've been studying us, they might have deals with politicians right now because that's keeping the peace. But if you really want to announce yourself to the world, then do it to the people, right? Not the politicians. Do it to the most intelligent of us. Do it to the Neil deGrasse Titans, right? Like, who are you going to trust? Who would you trust with that information? Nerd is an alien. I might be, motherfucker. You never know. I want there to be aliens like the Asari in Mass Effect, right? Would you rather it be fucking Joe Biden on the news tomorrow bumbling on about fucking aliens? Or would you rather it be like fucking, like I said, Neil deGrasse Titan fucking on the news? Like, hey, guys, just your friendly black scientist dude here. What did they call him in the fucking epic rap battles history? I can't remember. It was like friendly black scientist guy or some shit. Anyway, like, I would take it better from like a group of scientists, like people who study like the universe. You know? Don't just land somewhere in the middle of a fucking Super Bowl at the 50-yard line and take over our airwaves and like, you know what I mean? Because that might come off as a little aggressive and hostile. Don't do it to religious leaders because they will just try to make it about God or whatever. I mean, the reason I said that, though, Huntress, is if you were concerned about a panic, right, and you didn't want to create one, then getting religious leaders involved in it would somewhat minimize that panic. So no matter when it happens and how, there's still going to be a small panic. There will be. But if your religious leaders, the Pope or whatever, was like, hey, yep, so aliens are here, and just want to let you know that it doesn't mean that God isn't real. You know, like, I think it would lessen the blow to some of those people that were going to panic. And, you know, they might make it about God, you know. Now, here's what's really going to blow your fucking mind, Huntress. What if aliens are real, and they come here, and they believe in God, and they want to teach us about their God? Wouldn't you shit if, like, E.T. got off a fucking ship and in his hand was like fucking Old Testament or the Quran? I'd freak the fuck out. I'd instantly be religious. Like, instantly. Like, I'd be going to fucking church every day. The goddamn alien gets off of the fucking ship and has a Bible in his hand. And says, hey, we just wanted to, like, come by and see if you guys were, like, reading this. Do you guys know about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ? I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done. I'm going to church the next day. Oh, shit. Anyway, so that's going to do it for me tonight, guys. Season 1, Episode 1. NerdGasm coming at you live here in my basement. What a more fitting place for a talk about aliens and UFOs, right? Not saying I don't believe in God, I just don't like organized religion. I worship the universe. Yeah, and aliens live in that universe. Ooh, the cosmic forces. So next week's podcast, I haven't picked a topic yet. There are a couple that have piqued my interest, but we'll definitely look at some more. if you want to rewatch this, it's going to be up on the tubes. I will throw a link in the Discord for when I get the Spotify page working. So if you guys want to listen to the podcast every Sunday at 10 p.m. Sunday. Every Sunday, 10 p.m., NerdGasm will be live. There'll just be 1 hour shows. My goal is by Monday nights to have them uploaded to Spotify. So, with that being said, thanks for everybody coming out and hanging out with me on the premiere inaugural episode of NerdGasm. It was fun. But don't be strangers. Feel free to chime in on the conversations. Hey, Robert, if you're not on Discord already, you should join us. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Huntress. He's in there. He's Moist Towelette. That's the new guy. Anyway, guys, it has been fucking fun. My name is Nerd. Thank you so much for coming to my dungeon. It's been fun, man. It's good to not have, like, that gameplay in the background, like that guy pretending that he can play video games while he's talking shit to you guys in the chat, right? Sometimes we can just have healthy conversations about random-ass shit. But I will check you guys in the next one. Link to the fucking Discord down below. Like, comment, subscribe on the video. Consider becoming a member of the tubes. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Wolf's Blood coming in at the last second. Hope you have a good night. Oh, yeah, already am. I'm glad I was here. Thank you so much, guys.